gentlemen, it's Thursday.
Oh, you're done already?
Okay,
it's enough.
No. You want to keep going?
No. I wanted that last little string. That's all I wanted. You're done. You're done. We're learning podcasting. There's actually. Oh, there goes one. Oh, there goes another. Oh, they're all gone now. Now we're talking to ourselves.
Well, that's okay. That means we can yell more and be even more accurate than normal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Thursday. That means it's time for the TopSpeed.com podcast. TopSpeed.com is your internet home for all the crazy cool. And oh no, because I'm an idiot, and I fix it.
You can't yell at me for that one this time.
Nope, that one was all me. Hi guys, hi. I am Christian Mogan. So this is TopSpeed.com podcast. You should know about us by now because you're awesome and you listen every week and you know what we are. This week I am joined by our editor-in-chief, Justin Coupler. Hi, Justin.
Howdy, everyone. How is you today, Mr. Christian?
I'm tired, but I'm doing well. My allergies are acting up a little bit, so my eyes are itchy, but otherwise I think I'll survive. We have no Mark this week because Mark is a dirty, dirty bum, and he's actually on vacation this week. So he is not here with us, which is sort of annoying because he's actually only like an hour away from me is where he's vacationing. Maybe not even that far, 40 minutes.
Well, he should be in there with you.
I told him he should just show up at my house.
You guys can cozy up next to each other on one chair and hug each other and do the podcast.
Well, I would have moved everything over and I would have done it on the couch over there, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, you gotta on the couch, huh? You can really snuggle up there, can't you?
It gives him room to lay down as he cuddles. All right. Anyways, hi everyone. Welcome. You know how this works. We're going to talk about cars and awesome things. We're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about stuff we've driven. And then we are going to, say hi, bye, and we'll see you again next week. So let's start with the weekly wheels. Mr. Justin has not been driving anything other than his own cars because he's a terrible person. Nobody likes him.
Yes.
But I have a trio of things to talk about. So we're going to talk about the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon X, which was my press car last week, and then we're going to talk about two more cars from my time at Flyin Miata. I think I'm going to do Elvis and the Exus.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I think I'm going to do Elvis and the Exocet this week, because last week was mostly Nancy and Betty. We're going to do Elvis and Exocet this week. But we're going to start with the Jeep, which you'll get to see my full review and watch my video review soon. But basically what I think of it is it's an incredible car unless you buy it. Because if you buy it, you probably live in the city, and buying a Rubicon is stupid and you're an idiot.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than seeing someone riding around in like the concrete jungle in a jacked up Jeep. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Now, like, I will give you, the thing actually has a very compact footprint, and it has a very tight turning radius. So things like that are good for being in the city, but it's very uncomfortable. It's obnoxiously loud. Obviously, most of it is made of plastic and cloth, so if you live in an area where theft is common, it's a terrible thing to own. Fuel economy is absolute garbage, and the thing is damn near $40,000 for the Rubicon X with all the options. So, like, you're paying $40,000 for a car that will swallow gasoline, make you uncomfortable and hot all the time, and you can't leave anything in it because it'll all get stolen. But if you live not there, not in the middle of the city, if you live out in the middle of nowhere like I do, and there's a huge muddy field across the street, and there's a giant dry creek bed down the road, and there's mountains that are full of fire trails that you can drive up of, like, this is the best car in the entire world. Holy crap, is it awesome. So being the Rubicon, it's got like all the extra stuff. So I've got huge chunky wheels on it with big aggressive mud tires instead of like the street tires you get on the Sport. I got Dana 44 axles front and rear, electronic locking diffs, electronically disconnecting sway bars.
Nice.
Like, yeah. Like,
I've always wondered how those works. I've never actually seen a video on them, so I've always been curious. Like, does it have like those big latches?
It actually looks. It's really hard to sort of get in there and see it, but it looks like the sway bar is actually in a motor, and then so I didn't get underneath there when I was playing with it, but like what it looks like happens is when you do the thing, that motor will undo basically, and like the sway bar can come out the side. and I guess it's on a tether of some sort, and it can reel that tether back in to lock the sway bar back in place.
That's just awesome.
But yeah, there's like a big. It looks like a big old school headlight motor from like like what's on my Porsche, and then the sway bar just goes into either side of it.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm like, oh, all right, that's cool. But like, it's awesome. And so I've got obviously the 4-wheel drive system. You know, it's adjustable. I've got 2 high, 4 low. When you put it into 4 low, it automatically cuts off all the traction stuff. So traction control, stability control, and all that stuff turns off instantly when you put it in the 4 low, because Jeep knows you're going to be rolling around and getting dirty and possibly tipping over and spinning wheels and all that stuff. So like, we'll turn off all the nannies, have fun. But I was sad with my Jeep though, because I had all the options that made it a city Jeep. I had leather steering wheel, I had heated leather seats, I had navigation, I had the speakers in the door. Like, I remember old school Wranglers, like, you could, when they showed up, you just open up the door and then pick up on them and they'd come off.
Mm-hmm.
The new ones aren't quite like that.
Yeah, they have bolts holding them in now.
Yeah, there are huge bolts that go into the bottom of the pin, and they're like massive Torx bolts. Bigger than anything I own. I mean, they look like, I guess if I had to pick a millimeter size, they're maybe like a 12 or 13 millimeter wide Torx nut.
My God.
And then, because the doors have speakers and electric motors in them, because they have power windows and power locks, you have to unplug this huge cable, and then there's a tether holding the door to the cabin, so that when the door opens, it won't pull tight on the cable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to undo the cable, undo the tether, undo the bolts, and then the door can come off.
So I guess it's safe to say this isn't one you're going to rip the doors off and hose it out with water, huh?
No, not this one. Not with the Uconnect system and the leather seats and all that stuff. No. And so that made me really sad, because I've got all the best off-road goodies, but then I was full of this luxury crap, and I'm like, well, now what the hell am I going to do? I'm not going to fill this with red dirt and mud.
That's what a lot of Jeep enthusiasts have been bitching about with the Wrangler. I mean, the whole Jeep lineup has gotten kind of soft over the years. But the Wrangler in particular, you hear a bunch of griping from them saying, why do you need a Wrangler with a Uconnect system, with leather interior, this, that, and the other thing? And I know why. It's because they want to cater to the mommy and daddy who are driving Sally and Johnny to the soccer field, but still want a little bit of off-roading. But shouldn't you think, if you're building a Rubicon model, the Rubicon, it should be just the no frills, basic, big hunking wheels, plastic floor, sprayed out. I would just figure they should make a different lineup that has that stuff. Don't make the Rubicon so plush. Make a different line, a different luxury line, instead of making the Rubicon that plush.
Well, so like that's the thing though, is most of this was options. Like I had an option for the leather seats. I had an option for the Uconnect system. And it's like, I don't know. Damn it! Don't bring me those options.
I'm just wondering what the take rate is on these luxury features. I mean, is it really worth it? I
guarantee you it's super high. See, the problem is somebody who wants to beat the hell out of their Jeep isn't going to buy a Rubicon, mostly because we're all young and stupid and we can't afford a Rubicon. So instead of paying $40,000 for that Jeep, you buy a $20,000 base Sport, and then you put it on a suspension lift, and then you put it on huge freaking boggers, and then you swap out the axles for Danas, and like you do all that shit yourself later. When you can afford to, you piece it together. You buy an old used Jeep for $10,000 and start throwing parts at it. You don't walk into the dealer and spend $40,000.
I don't know. Some of us are young and stupid enough to do that.
Well, but if you're young and stupid, you probably don't have the money to spend $40,000 on a new car.
This is true. I just miss the old days of the Jeeps where they were all crap. Every single Jeep Wrangler was just a hunk of nothing that could go off-road and go in snow and whatever you wanted. If you dented up the door, you plunged it out and went on your merry way.
No, like, it's still built that way. It just happens to have leather seats and a navigation system crammed in the center dash. I mean, it still feels like it's built out of mashed up tin cans. It's loud, it rattles, it's super uncomfortable, it's like wayward, the steering wheel's not attached to anything. I mean, it's all that stuff is still there. Like I said, somebody just put speakers in the doors and power windows and a navigation system and some other seats.
How does that Pentastar feel in the Wranglers? Does it feel pretty good in the Wrangler? Because I know back in the day when it had the old 4-cylinder, it was just a turd.
So the new V6 is good. I don't know if I'd say it's as good as the old 4-liter. Straight 6?
Well, there's not much that was better than an old 4-liter straight 6.
So, like, it's weird, and I don't know if it's just because my Jeep is so much heavier than other Jeeps that I've been in, Like, for having 300 horsepower, it did not feel like it had 300 horsepower. I mean, the Pentastar is still great. So I've only got a 5-speed auto in the Jeep, but transmission shifted just fine, and it wasn't afraid to downshift. It felt strong enough for doing anything you wanted to do to it. And it's just you're driving around, and it felt just like a car. The V6 had enough power to get you moving, but like when you think, oh, I have 300 horsepower, and you stand on the pedal, like you don't feel 300 horsepower. I guess just because my Jeep's really heavy, but you're like, oh, I'm not really going anywhere that fast.
What if it has something to do with the full-time four-wheel drive or?
Well, no, because it's a manually adjustable transfer case, so I left it in too high most of the time.
Oh, I forgot they're manually, or they're adjustable now.
Yeah, so it was just too high almost all of the time, unless I was going to get dirty, and it was just like not slow, but not 300 horsepower fast.
Yeah. I don't know. I just something about the new Wranglers. I love them still, but just something about it just feels weaker than they were back in the 80s and 90s or 90s. I'm sorry, 80s. Yeah, back in the 90s and the old CJs back in the 80s and 70s. It just don't. It doesn't feel the same to me for some reason. Maybe it's because you see so many plush ones out there. It's just been. They've been kind of sterilized because of that, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, that one's a given, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, many years ago, I remember driving down to Virginia Beach from Pennsylvania, driving a mid-1990s Wrangler base model 4-cylinder 5-speed, loaded up with gear. Everyone's luggage was shoved in the back of it, and you want to talk about a dog? Doing 60 miles an hour with that flat front end and all, I think, 100 horsepower of that four-banger was not a fun trip.
That sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. So that V6 has to be a much nicer addition.
It was a good engine. Like I said, it just didn't feel as fast as I thought it should for 300 horsepower. But let's move on to something that actually does have lots of power. So last week I talked about Atomic Betty, which was a car I drove at Flyin Miata, and it's a modern Miata. It's a 2009 with a V8 in it. Now, it's a fairly base level LS3 engine in it. It's got the 430 cam, so it's supposed to make 430 horsepower, 6-speed manual, very nice and plush, all that sort of stuff. It's got a Ford rear end in the back of it. It's just a nice car. Well, I also drove Elvis while I was there, and Elvis is an older generation Miata. It's an NB. I think Elvis might be a 99 or 2000. But so Elvis is, well, the same generation as your Miata, Justin.
Yeah.
But they also put a V8 in it, and Elvis is actually one of their first V8 cars. And there's a lot of differences between Elvis and between Betty. For starters, Elvis doesn't have the Ford rear end like Betty does. Elvis has the same rear end that GM puts in the Cadillac CTS-V. So I've got a lightweight clutch pack limited slip diff in the rear of Elvis, and the LS3 engine, instead of having the 430 cam that comes in the base car, has a hotter 480 cam. So it's 480 horsepower rated from the factory. Elvis is also lighter. Elvis has different seats in it that actually have suede inserts in them to keep you in place. Elvis has a slightly different suspension setup, I believe, and he has slightly different brakes.
Now I got to interrupt you. My dad's Chevelle, I think it has the LS3, and I think he put the 480 cam. I'll have to check that with him, but he said it was a hotter cam, so I can only assume it's the 480. And that thing hauls ass, and that's like a 4,000-pound car, a little under 4,000. I think it's like 36 or 3,700. I can only imagine like the 2,600-pound Miata with that kind of insanity, plus the rear end from the CTS-V. That's insane.
Well, Elvis is, I think, 2,750 because of the extra weight. Most of the weight is actually from the transmission. The V8 doesn't weigh that much more than the old four-cylinder does. Most of the weight comes from that T56. As nuts as that is.
What doesn't surprise me, I think the LS3 is all aluminum in the old...
Yeah, no, it's all of the Corvette LSs, the LS1, LS2, and LS3 are all solid aluminum engines.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Miata was a cast iron with an aluminum head, I think.
Yeah, I think it might have been a cast block with an aluminum head. But so, like, it feels like a muscle car. So they're talking about changing the cam out, potentially. because the 480 cam is not very smooth cam. It gives the car a really rough idle, but it makes it feel like a classic muscle car because it's like a really rough and thumpy idle. So like when you come to a stop, you're going thunk it, 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 thunk it. And you have, of course, the big dual exhaust that they put on this thing that just bellows noise. It does. Like if you were to just close your eyes, sitting on a bench, and this car pulled up, you would think there was like a '67 Chevelle sitting there or something. Just and you give it a little bit of gas, it goes, and it comes down to idle really slowly, and it's just, oh yeah. So I talked about how in Betty you could put the car in 4th gear and still do a burnout if you wanted to. With Elvis, you can do it in 5th.
That's just ridiculous.
You can just slot the car in 5th and just and back to funny sciences. Again, this is just all about math. So the way those cars are geared with those rear ends, in 5th gear they'll do theoretically like 206 miles an hour. So if Elvis could hit that speed, you could take off in 5th gear and go from a dead stop to 206 miles an hour without ever shifting.
I'm just imagining that.
It's like it's hard to kind of wrap your brain around what they've done to this thing.
Well, you figure how light the car is, combined with the torque curve. Yeah, I guess I could see that if you redline it and just pound on it.
Well, like, you don't even have to redline it because that engine has so much torque so low. You can just ride the clutch a little bit, and then you can just take off. It'll shudder and stutter for just a second, but you can just take off in 5th.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around that.
Yeah.
No shifting 5th gear. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but and just think about like what they've done. So like with Betty, which is 2,800 pounds, right? If you have a brand new C7 Corvette convertible, that thing weighs 3,400 pounds. Mm-hmm. No, 3,300 pounds. Yeah, it's 3,300 pounds. Atomic Betty and Elvis are both about 2,800 pounds. So it's 500 pounds less than a Corvette, with more horsepower than a Corvette. Yeah.
That's
just like I say that these cars are fast. People are like, well, I get they're fast, but there's no way they can actually be faster, like you say, than a GTR once you get moving, or than the Lamborghini. I'm like, they feel faster. And again, it's take a Corvette and cut that power out. And when I was doing math for writing my Atomic Betty review, power to weight ratio for Atomic Betty, which only pulls out 410 on their dyno, has about the same power to weight ratio as a Porsche 911 Turbo.
Whew.
Elvis has about the same power to weight ratio as a 911 Turbo S.
And that's the figure so many people ignore. They're so focused on how many horsepower, how many horsepower, how many horsepower.
Well, still, even that, it's got nearly 500.
Well, yeah, it still has that. But still, people don't think about that power to weight. That makes so much of a difference. And torque to weight. People don't think about that either. I mean, that's a huge part of acceleration is torque to weight as well.
Yep.
So many people ignore those numbers.
So yeah. I don't like Elvis as much as I like Betty, mostly because I don't like the NB as much as I like the NC. And like I loved how Betty felt, just like a really good car, and Elvis's personality is more rough and tumble, kind of like a muscle car. It's a little bit louder, it's a little bit rougher, idle's a little off. Like it feels more built up muscle car and less just really nice GT sports car. So I don't like it as much as Betty, but it is faster.
All this talk about these V8 Miatas makes me want to go buy just an NB, and because I don't want to ruin my Mazda speed. I don't want to do that. So go buy some NB and slap some insane engine in it and just have a blast. But I don't know. I just have a weird thing about a V8 in a Miata. Keith's
first V8 target car, the first V8 he was using was a 5.3 Vortec from a truck. Well, really? Elvis, the very first engine for a V8 they put in Elvis was actually from an old Firebird.
What, a 5.7?
I think it might have been, yeah. They found a Firebird Trans Am that had been junked, and that's what they pulled the engine out of. And for a short amount of time, because they have a vinyl cutter at work or at the shop, they actually took and they made a flaming chicken for the hood of Elvis. So yeah,
That's awesome.
I'll have to see if I could find a photo of that somewhere for you. But so the big flaming chicken on the top of a Miata, powered by a Firebird V8.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, you could do it, and you could even do it to your Mazda speed. Most of Flyin Miata's V8 and B customers are actually doing the Mazda speeds because the Mazda speeds have nicer interiors and a better body kit. So if they're going to have this super fast, nice car, they want the nicest version to start with.
And I couldn't see myself pulling that engine. Some people complain about the turbocharged engine, and I actually prefer it over the naturally aspirated one in the NB generation.
So, well, there you go. If you like your naturally aspirated engines, you should buy an Exoset. I think I'm going to, actually.
Yeah, how much does the Exoset run? I can't remember. I read it in your review, but
the base kit is $6,000.
Oh God, that's not bad at all. That's rolling chassis.
Yeah, the sport kit you want is $7,000, and that's the one that's got mounts. Basically, there's like one extra crossbar in it, so you can mount 5-point harnesses into it. That's the one you want. But you pay $6,000 or $7,000 for this kit, and then you just buy a wrecked Miata. And basically, the way it's set up is you unbolt what's called the roller skate from the Miata, which is the front and rear sub frames, engine transmission, and the transaxle. Or I guess they don't have a transaxle set up the drive shaft. Basically, you just drop the running gear out of it, and then you can set the Exoset frame on top of it, bolt up the suspension, bolt up the engine, then you put a gas tank on the back of it, and it uses the Miata gas tank, and then you set the Miata seats and the Miata steering column in it, and then that's it. You're good to go.
Now the Exoset, does the Exoset actually have a body, or is it just a tubular frame?
It does have a body. They didn't have one. Like, it hadn't been shipped to them yet. They were waiting on it to show up before the event, and it didn't make it.
Okay.
Exoset has been so overwhelmed with orders for these cars that they're about 10 or 12 weeks behind on the chassis. They have work that they're working on getting a windshield for it so that it can be legal in certain states. Because in certain states it can't be legal if it doesn't have a windshield and it can't be legal if it doesn't have wipers. So they're working on that, but they had to stop working on that so they could actually ship out the cars.
I got so all in. I'm saying probably. Let's see. You said $6,000 for the basic.
Seven for the one you want.
7 for the one that I want. A wrecked Miata.
$1,000.
Yeah. Well, what depends on what generation.
An NB.
NB probably a little. Well, yeah, I could see that if you find one that's mashed up well enough. But then you have to find with the roller skate that the subframe and everything's not shattered either.
Still, $1,500.
Yeah, $1,500 gets you that. So you're talking $8,500 gas tank, another.
No, because it uses the gas tank from the Miata. Literally, it uses literally everything from the Miata: brakes, suspension, wheels, gas tank, steering column, dash, all of it.
And it's street legal in most states.
Well, it doesn't come with lights.
Oh, no lights. So, well.
But you have to put there are a lot of light kits on it. But yeah, like in Tennessee, I can put a headlight and a tail light, and I can register it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it is down here in Florida, too, because they don't have any inspection. They don't care. If it rolls, you see some of that crap we see on the roads here. Yeah. We're talking cars with no hoods on them, just cruising down the road.
Yeah, if I could drive it to the registration office, like basically I can register it.
But I just imagine, because think about it, Caterham just brought those two new 7s to the market. It's like $40,000 for a rolling chassis.
Well, but so here's the problem with cars like
$10,000 for the engine.
Right, but here's the problem with all those cars. The Ariel, anything that Lotus makes, all of that. These are all kit cars that you put pieces into. The Exoset has been designed completely around the Miata. So the wheelbase is exactly the same. None of that is modified. Even the place they put the seats at, your exact seating position, forward and back from the wheels, is exactly the same as a Miata. I even think how high your ass is off the ground is exactly the same as a Miata.
Well, see,
it's not hard to drive, though. It still feels like a Miata in every way.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call the Caterham a kit car. It comes as a rolling chassis, fully assembled if you want it.
Right. Well, but it started life essentially as a kit car, and like that's how they're built.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're getting at.
What the Exoset essentially is just a different body for a Miata. Instead of a different car that you put Miata bits into, It's just a different body for a Miata.
Okay, I got you.
The difference is that body happens to weigh 1,000 pounds less. Yeah.
Now I want that to put it on my...
is about $1,600.
I just take my Mazda Speed body. I put that on. Roll me over. Take my money. I want it.
Yeah. Now, like there are some things you will want to change about your car. Apparently, the stock Miata wheels look ridiculous on the X.
Oh my God! Yeah.
On the X, so you want some new wheels. Brakes, I've been told, are okay, but a lot of people get a better brake kit. A lot of people upgrade the suspension, and then obviously some racing seats.
Yeah.
But even if you want to do suspension upgrade, wheel upgrade, brakes, and seats, you can still get out for like $10,000 if you build it yourself. So like you can have a Ariel Adams style exoskeleton freaking race car that you can drive on the street with a couple of lights, and it's $10,000.
Yeah, Flyin Miata, give me a call and ask me for my debit card, please. I'm ready to go. Oh wait, you don't get any money out of that. Never mind. I forgot I lacked that part. Damn it.
Remember, you're a journalist. You don't make any money.
We don't make money. We work for cookies.
That's right. Actually, I could go for some cookies.
I probably have some out there. You want me to give you some?
I mean, that's kind of a long drive for me to go to get some cookies. What are you, 10, 12 hours?
Something in that range. Just gives you an excuse to drive fast.
Yeah. I did that once. I'll be careful again.
Yeah,
all
well,
right.
I know that story.
Anyways, we're all going to move on a little bit. Let's go ahead and hit the news. We'll let Justin start with some news. We'll do a couple pieces from him, then I'll jump in with some video game stuff, and then we'll finish out with some more news.
All right. Well, I'll kick off here with Hellcat. Yay! And 4 doors, 707 horsepower. We all knew it was coming. Dodge never confirmed it, but we knew it was coming. What's good for the Charger, or Challenger, is good for the Charger, and voila, here's the Charger SRT Hellcat. It came about 3 days early. They actually debuted it yesterday, and we were expecting it to debut on the 16th. So it came a couple days early. I sat through the whole 30-minute spiel, their live feed on the internet. Fortunately, this time they didn't tease us by releasing a freaking what they released last time, that silly
the ProMaster.
Yeah, the ProMaster. I said to that, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. and all the commenters on it were about in the same mood as I was. But they released it. It's the exact same as the Challenger, almost. 707 horsepower, 650 foot-pound. Suspension upgrades, body upgrades. They changed out the grille, which I think did a whole lot for this car. I hate the front end of the new Charger. Don't get me wrong. I still hate it. But they got rid of the crosshair grille and gave it more of a mesh design, which really makes it look a lot less like a Dart, I'm sorry to say. It makes it look a whole lot less like a Dart. The interior is real nicely done. And what's really cool about this is it's about 12% more aerodynamic than the Challenger, so 12% less drag. What this results in is a 204 mile per hour top speed. That's 5 miles per hour faster than the Challenger. All because of aero, because SRT does not limit anything electronically. It's all aero. Anything they build, its top speed is because of aerodynamics or motor capacity or whatever.
204.
204, and what's better, got to hear this, quarter mile time.
I saw that.
11 seconds flat. No point anything. 11 seconds. 2.2 seconds.
Which means there is a slight theoretical chance that if you got the perfect launch on the perfect run in the perfect weather, you can break into the 10s.
Yes. That means this thing is 0.2 seconds faster than the Challenger, which is incredible. And that is, according to CEO of Dodge, he says it's because of the higher weight of the Charger actually allows it to launch a little bit better because more weight moving back
traction.
it down. Yeah, but weirdly enough, the 0 to 60 time is 0.2 seconds slower than the Challenger. It's 3.7 seconds, so the Challenger's 3.5. That I can only assume is because of the weight to torque ratio. Doesn't quite have enough torque to get the weight moving as quickly. Whereas the Challenger's slightly lighter with the same torque, it's going to get to 60 a little faster. But once you get to that quarter mile point, the horsepower takes over and the Charger wins. But overall, it's just completely awesome. I love the fact they kept the horsepower the same. They did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They did not give them the manual transmission. It kept it the 8-speed torque flight auto. Kind of sucks, but we all know they are never, ever, ever going to put a manual in the Charger. They've said that a million times, and they continue it now with the Hellcat. It's supposed to be released Q1 of 2015, so we're looking like a January, February, March release. And there's no pricing yet, but I'm assuming it's going to come in right about the same price as the Challenger, maybe a couple pennies less, but probably just right about that same range. But ultimately, this makes
I think it might be a little bit more than the
Really?
Challenger, because isn't in general the Charger slightly more money than the Challenger?
You know, I'm honestly not too sure. I meant to check that, but I'm not too sure. I'm sorry. I thought the Challenger was slightly more expensive, but that was back when it first came out, and all they had was the SRT version, not the V6. So I might be off on that. So it might be a little bit more. I'm not sure. But it's not going to be, if it's any more, it's not going to be much more.
Yeah, it's going to be minimal.
Yeah, and it's the fastest production sedan ever. Ever. Nothing else is close. Nothing.
Which makes me really sad, because for a long time that was a CTSV.
Yeah. So everybody
But still, America!
Yeah, America. Yeah, hell yeah. Now you have to see what Chevy does. Is Chevy going to make some hot-end version of the SS? No, probably not. The SS is lucky to even be here right now.
Yeah, no, I do think that a detuned LT4 in the CTSV may be coming. And if they already had the record with 556 horsepower, I don't see why they couldn't re-steal back that record with 635 or 640 horsepower.
Well, if it, I still don't think at that kind of power. I don't think the CTSV could still.
Well, they were able to hit 198 before with 556.
Mm-hmm.
So they've only got
yeah.
6 more miles an hour to get. And I guarantee you the Cadillac is way more aerodynamic than the Challenger.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Challenger's a rolling sled.
Yeah. So, like, I think with, like, 100 more horsepower or 80 more horsepower, they may be able to eke out that extra 6 miles an hour.
Possibly, but the Charger's still going to hold the record as the most powerful. So
yes.
the Charger still wins.
Yes, it will still be the most powerful. Yeah, because 707. Mercedes will knock them off soon.
Well, yeah.
Well,
possibly.
because they were the old record holder, weren't they?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
I think
Probably,
they had it with
I
one of
think
their
so.
E-Class sedans. I think it was one of the AMG E classes had.
Well, it's like, well, we all know Mercedes, they're going to limit everything to 180-something miles per hour in their AMG lineup, and they're never going to get the top speed record. So, still,
right.
Charger wins.
But they can still go, horsepower!
No, because the horsepower in.
The horsepower!
Oh, no, wait, how do you say, what's the PS stand for? I can never remember what PS stands for.
Prescott or something.
Something like that, yeah. But anyways, yes, yay, America. Charger SRT Hellcat. It's just a whole lot of awesome, and it makes me drool and want to pay $60,000 for it. But again, they don't take cookies, so.
Right. I think it's cool that we're actually going to have another American super sedan for cheap. Because, like, for me, that was one of the things that made the CTSV so awesome, is aside from the fact that they sold it in sedan, coupe, and freaking wagon, is the fact that it was like 65 grand. So you had this 556 horsepower, nearly 200 mile an hour American luxury sedan for like the price of a Corvette.
Yeah.
And now that we have 2 of them, that's awesome.
And one side note about this, I hear people on Google or on the different social media sites bitching and moaning about, oh, what about the Viper? What about the Viper? Oh, it's more powerful than the Viper. Look, guys, power isn't all that matters.
Yeah, it may be more powerful than the Viper. The Viper's still faster.
Yes, they're 2 different cars. Don't take the Charger SRT Hellcat on name any track, Laguna Seca. Take it on Laguna Seca. Put the Viper next to it. Tell me who wins. I bet the Viper wins by a minute and a half.
I don't know about a minute and a half, because that's like the lap times I think at Laguna Seca are only like a minute 20.
I know. I'm exactly.
But like I imagine seeing a rolling fireball as the Challenger tried to take the corkscrew. It gets around the first turn and then just hits the gravel and just goes tumbling into this.
You know, that corner used to kill me in all the racing games. I can only imagine in real life. Oh. God.
I want to go and I want to race it bad.
Yes.
That's on the bucket list.
Dodge, give us 3 of them. 1 for me, 1 for you, and 1 for Mark, I guess.
No, because Mark took a vacation and he's not here. Yeah. So just 1 for me, 1 for you, and Mark can do the podcast all by himself.
Exactly.
It'll just be him crying into a microphone. I don't have a Hellcat. I'm not at Laguna Seca.
And then we have both dying fireballs, and he's ha.
I didn't die in a fireball in a Hellcat. All right. More awesome and cool things. So we've talked about before, and you guys know that Jaguar was building a new series of classic E-types called lightweights. The lightweight E-type didn't get built back in the 60s, so now they're like, we're going to build them because we have all these bodies. They are finally doing that, and we have the E-type Car Zero review.
Did you just say Jaguar?
Yes, because I hate Jaguar.
We're American. Jaguar.
No, it's not Jaguar. It's not Jaguar.
Yes.
It's like, it's not a potato.
Tater. Yeah, it is tater.
No, it's a potato.
Who's gonna cover this one? You or me? Because we both.
Well, you can go ahead and start, and then I'll just go. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes, it rocks. Yes. Okay. Well, so they built it, and it's identical to the 1963 model, which is awesome. You know, all of us kind of in the back of our mind knew they were going to do it just like they said they were, but then in the back of our mind we're all kind of like, I hope they don't screw this up.
I know, there's always that worry. You're like, yeah, this could be perfect. That means you're going to ruin it.
Yes, I was so afraid they're going to do something silly or make the body one piece so you couldn't see the welds and rivets in the interior and all the ugliness that went along with the beauty of the E-Type lightweight. But they didn't. It's all 1,000% accurate. There's not a thing in it that's different from the original, all the way down to the XK engine. A 3.8 liter inline six, 340 horsepower. You can get either a trio of Weber carburetors or mechanical fuel injection from Lucas. Both are 340 horsepower. It's like 280 pound-feet of torque, something like that. 4-speed manual transmission, not a 5-speed or 6-speed. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Big, long hood, weighs, 1,000 kilograms, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's so stunning in so many ways.
Little skinny tires up front, just like it's supposed to have.
Right, like, and yeah, so like, Jag's like, hey, we have these old bodies that are registered and all that stuff, and like, we can produce these cars, and we're gonna make them just like we did in the old days with the old engines. And everyone's like, no, you're not, because nobody really wants that, and that's hard to do, and it costs money, and it's, you know, it's just not the way the world works anymore. Mm-hmm. And then they freaking did it!
Yeah, and they even sent out some parts to be assembled and stamped to aluminum smiths, you know, real aluminum builders. They didn't say, okay, let's try to make this work here. They didn't spare any expense. They shipped it out and had it done.
I mean, hell, you can get triple Weber carbs. When was the last time that phrase was ever uttered about a new car? Yes, I know that technically it's a 1964 or whatever, but holy shit, it's triple Weber carbs!
I know, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, the way they did it was astonishing. It's perfect. Down to the leather strap holding the hood down. It's just perfect. Every single.
I hate the word bonnet, but I really want to say bonnet now because.
If you say bonnet, I'm logging off.
I'm
over the log off button right now. Don't say it.
It's like it's an early '60s Jag with leather straps.
I'm gonna push it.
Can I at least call them bonnet straps?
Okay.
Leather bonnet straps.
That's like people that spell liter L-I-T-R-E. Just annoys me. But I know, I'm sorry, any Brit out there, I'm sorry, I apologize, but I'm American. It's L-I-T-E-R. That spells litre, in my opinion. But anywho, enough bashing.
Well, I do have to say, I spell liter R-E a lot of the time, but it's mostly because that's just the way my fingers work, and if I have an E-R on any word, I almost always seem to hit my index finger first, and I do R-E instead.
That's like me with saying te. That's like me with te instead of the.
Yeah, I type. Yeah, those are my two worst. Is ER, so like I do type things like liter the European way, and then I say tuh a lot, T-E-H, and it's really. But see, tuh is great because most programs will fix that.
Yeah, most.
Nothing will fix liter spelled the European way because it's still correct.
Technically.
So I have like I'll write a thing and I'll have half of liters spelt the American way and half of the liters spelt the European way. And I'm like, ah!
But yes, it's here, and the really cool thing is that Jag is offering buyers the opportunity to make each E-Type their own. They're not going to say, okay, you have to take the rolling, unpainted silver one. You can't have any other way. they're giving them the opportunity to make bespoke interiors, various colors. They have gobs of different rear end ratios they're offering for people that want to do different things with it. I think the factory one's a 331, I believe. So they're offering all kind of different options so buyers can make them their own, and we'll have a bunch of unique, 6 unique Jaguar E-Types. And I'm really excited to see all 6 of them roll out and see what each different buyer did. And I'm excited to see just how much they really cost. There's so many rumors. Are they $1.4 million? Maybe.
A lot is going to be the answer.
Yes, more than I need to know, probably.
But my problem, though, is I think all of them should come in British Racing Green, and your interior colors should be black or saddle. That's it.
Yeah, but then that's going to be kind of boring. Then
there's only 6 of them, and this is a classic British car from the 60s that somehow, through magic and ridiculous laws, they can recreate today as full, brand new 1960s cars. Freaking sell them in British Racing Green. Your Jag. It is one of your most famous cars. You made famous race cars. Put your famous race car paint on your car.
Yeah, but they want to give.
I just like British Racing Green a lot.
They want to give their buyers a reason to buy the car. For every single one's going to be British Racing Green with black interior. Like, man, there's 6 of them. Just like
I said black or saddle.
Wow.
And like all of the suspension changes and rear end changes, like all that's fine. Like they can do all that. But seriously, even if they sold them all only as baby poop brown with lime green interior, do you think they'd really have a trouble selling 6 of them?
Well, no, but still, you got to give them some options.
Yeah, well, these people are rich and have more money than sense, so they can take it and have it repainted after they get it if they don't want the British Racing Green. By God, one of those suckers better come off the line with British Racing Green, or I'm going to set fire to Coventry.
Oh, I'm going to laugh so hard.
The whole of Coventry, I'm just going to set fire to it all.
I'm going to laugh so hard if not a single one comes British Racing Green. I'm going to just...
Well, when you get the call from Scotland Yard that I've been arrested for setting fire to the whole of Coventry, you'll know why. And you won't think it's funny then, will you? So, people of Britain, if you live in Coventry and there is not a British Racing Green Jag Lightweight, please move immediately because your home will be set upon by massive fire.
Set upon by massive fire? Wow. What is Shakespeare?
I'm talking to British people.
Oh, yeah, I talked to British people. Okay, be offhand.
I'm trying to be more proper. Your home shall be set upon with massive amounts of fire. All right. Let's talk about really super crazy, cool, and awesome cars that, even though we can't own, we can actually sort of drive. So Forza. We had a pretty big story that came out this week. At least I thought it was pretty big. Some of you guys are not so sure, and I'm going to tell you that you're wrong in a second. So we had some exclusive early access to a bunch of materials for an upcoming Forza 5 update. And Forza Motorsports 5, they announced the same time that we said our piece live that the Rolls-Royce Wraith is going to be available to drive, and it's actually available now. If you have an Xbox One and Forza 5, you can hop online, download it now, and race it. And people are like, it's Rolls-Royce, who cares? Well, I'll tell you why you should care. For starters, this is the very first time Rolls-Royce has ever been licensed for any video game ever. So that's kind of a big deal. If you think Rolls-Royce isn't about speed, Rolls-Royce has a lot of history in speed, just not a lot of history in racing. There's actually one point in time where Rolls-Royce held the world records for speed on land, sea, and air, all 3 at the same time. Like, Rolls-Royce engines have been used to go fast for a very long time. The Rolls-Royce cars just haven't been. And the new Wraith is kind of changing that. So it's sleek, cool, 2-door coupe, and it is the most powerful production road car Rolls-Royce has ever made. And people are like, I don't care. Well, why? Because Bentley makes a Continental, and everybody loves that thing, and this is sort of like that. It's a big, cush, luxurious car like the Bentley is. It just happens to have a Rolls-Royce badge on the front and massive engines to go fast.
Well, I think the Continentals is a lot more sport looking than the Wraith is. When I look at the Wraith, I see a big fat Rolls Royce still. When I look
It's
at a
just that grill. The grill is what does it.
it's a grill and the boring headlights and the kind of flat front end and.
Okay, sorry. Just the flat nose makes it look not fast. But I really like that sharp rear cut line and the big haunches over the rear fenders. I mean, like, the ass of that thing looks really muscular. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I'm not faulting it. I just don't get that excited about hanging about a Rolls Royce in a game. I'm sorry, I don't. You know, chastise me if you will, but I don't get that excited when I hear Rolls Royce. Oh boy, Rolls Royce race! Yay! I've always just seen Rolls Royce as something a company bigwig rides in the back of, sipping his $3,000 per bottle champagne while his driver up front drives him to the next event.
Well, you know what? Unless you have friends at Rolls Royce and you can get me a ride in one in real life, this is the closest I can get. So don't take this away from me.
Now the engineers have like some attachment to the Xbox that just like puts out the scent of a Rolls Royce interior.
It's like, ooh, Grey Poupon and rich people.
You smell terrific. Just sprays high-end cologne all over the.
Why does it smell like rich people and hookers in here? My Xbox. I was driving the Rolls Royce. But oh god. Anyways, along with that, they also announced a few other cars coming with it. The new reasonably priced car from Top Gear, the Vauxhall 1.6 tech line Astra. It's a Vauxhall Astra. 1.6 tech line from Top Gear is now available. The new Renault Spark Formula E car is available. The Q50S is available. The new 2015 Mustang is available, and the Q50 Eau Rouge is available. So that's the GTR-powered Infiniti. So if you're not woohoo about the Rolls-Royce, there is lots of things to be woohoo about.
And Eau Rouge woohoos me by a lot. And so does the, what's the other one, the Rally Fighter?
Well, no, so that's a different game. So that's
that's Motorsport 2.
This set of cars is for Motorsport 5.
Yeah.
Right after they made that announcement, they also released a brand new trailer for Forza Horizon 2, which comes out at the end of next month.
Your dog doesn't like the Rolls Royce Wraith either, I hear him.
Yeah. My puppy's all sad because I've got them in the other room, so if they bark, you can't hear them as loudly. Because they like to bark at the mailmen and the horses that walk by, because they live in the country where there's horses and stuff. So they really don't like the horses. But yeah, so for Forza Horizon 2, they released a new trailer, and they've slowly been releasing little packs of cars every week. But when the trailer came out, there were 3 cars in it that had not been featured in any of the official lists. One of those is the Rally Fighter. One of them is what looks to be a bowler, which if you are not familiar with the bowler, just go watch some Top Gear, seriously. It is a super crazy hardcore off-road racing car based off of a Land Rover. So think like if you took a Ford Raptor style car and made it out of a Land Rover. That's like what the bowler is. And the KTM Crossbow, or the Expo, it's the Crossbow. Anyone who says Expo, I want to punch in the face. But the KTM Crossbow. So those 3 cars were not announced when this trailer came out, but we noticed them. We pulled screenshots, we pulled comparison shots, we got those up. And lo and behold, the very next day, the 3rd weekly set of cars came out, and right up on top is the Rally Fighter. Oh, hey, we have Mr. Andrew Burton has joined us in the chat on the YouTube. Hi, Andrew. Welcome to the show. So they had that in the trailer, and then of course we went over the actual car list itself that they've come out with. They've added 41 cars since the original list of 100. A lot of really cool things in there. So the Rally Fighter's in there, Ferrari Enzo's in there, Aston Martin DBR1. There's like 3 or 4 Lancias. There's a couple of Delta Integrales. They've got, I think, the base one that they ran their first 2 World Championship races in. Then the HF model, which was the higher power one, is there. They've got the Stratos is in there. Like, so many cool cars coming out. They've got Jag D-Type, I believe, that's announced. The E-Type was announced. So, like, all these really, really super cool cars are coming to this game. And if you didn't like the first Forza Horizon, well, for starters, you're wrong. It was a great game, even if it wasn't as technical or simulation-based as the first Forza. But the new one looks like it's shaping up to be a super great game. They've got a really eclectic collection of cars. I mean, they've got the old Willis Jeep in that thing, for crying out loud. Like, really cool collection of cars. And you're going to be driving around Southern Europe, roads that are styled after Italy and all that sort of stuff. So, like, it should be quite a good time. I'm really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, I definitely have to pick up an Xbox One because I want to play that game badly.
Forza Horizon 2 is supposed to be Xbox One and Xbox 3.
Oh, is it just 5 that's Xbox
One?
One?
5 is just Xbox One only.
Okay. I always get those two confused. They're released at the same time, and I got myself all confused on both of them.
Yeah.
Too closely together.
So that game comes out September 30th. We will have a full review at some point, as soon as I can get a copy of the game and get to playing it. If I disappear for like a week, you know what happened.
Christian, where are you?
All right. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about the F12, Justin?
The F12, yes. The F12 it's an awesome car, so don't get me wrong at all. But it was caught testing on Nürburgring. The F12 is no spring chicken. It's not some brand new crazy car anymore where it has to be tested on Nürburgring to see how fast it can be. So what exactly is it doing there? It can't be challenging the record for Nürburgring. We know that. But for some reason, it is on Nürburgring, and people are timing it unofficially at 7 minutes in. Well, something just got really loud.
Oh, sorry.
I
had my mic muted and then I unmuted it.
Oh, okay. That was weird. Some Turi Clips, who's notorious for filming these cars on Nürburgring, timed it unofficially at 7 minutes and 8 seconds.
See, I super disagree with their timing.
Yeah, they timed it including a cooldown run, which is kind of
right. And they're like,
very
if you take the cooldown run out of it, that's probably 40 seconds, and I don't know about that.
Yeah, that'd be how much faster than the Enzo? That'd be almost 20 seconds faster than the Enzo at 725.7.
Right, and what is besides the Enzo, what is the other, fastest Ferraris?
Let's see, there's the 599XX at 658.
Yeah, that was...
I mean, to be within 10 seconds of a race car Ferrari, non-street legal, I think there's something weird about their timing, but there's still the plain fact that Ferrari slotted out, I think it was 2 hours or so, to have exclusive time to drive the F12 Berlinetta on Nürburgring. What are they doing?
Maybe. Well, so the F12 is, 3 years old now?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, I think it's 3 years.
So it should be coming up on its 4th-year refresh. I say if it's doing anything, it's just them getting ready for that refresh. Because, again, that's how Ferrari does everything. They have a new car every year, but it's on a 4 or 5 year cycle, and so a car comes out, and then 4 years later you get an updated version of it. That's why we're about to get the 458M or whatever they're going to call it. So they're probably just testing some suspension upgrades, some engine upgrades, stuff like that. And with all of the stuff that's been happening on the Nürburgring lately, NSX catching on fire, the Cadillac's been out there testing, Ford's been out there testing. The Ford almost went out of control and crashed. Somebody crashed the Nürburgring taxi, the M5 the other day. Maybe Ferrari is like, you know what? Let's just buy the track for a couple hours to do our testing, so we don't have to deal with all this flotsam floating around on the track getting in the way.
Yeah, and I guess Ferrari has enough money to toss around where they can just
have all the money.
Drop a couple 100,000 pounds and say, here, we'll just take it. But still, it's nice to see it there, and I forgot all about the refresh coming up, so that is a good possibility. They're testing out some suspension bits, but I figured they'd be testing aero bits too, and they'd at least have some camo on it. But there wasn't any camo. Looks to be no real changes visually.
That might be part of their secret.
It could be. Maybe it's a mule. They just swapped out some suspension bits, things that you don't see. That could be it. But still, to see it on the ring and see it even sniffing 7 minutes and 8 seconds, it could be off by a minute, and it's still an impressive time nonetheless.
Right.
Even if 7:48 was the actual official time, that's still a pretty good time for the F12.
That's still a great time.
Yeah, the F12 is not the raw performer Ferrari that we're all used to. It's not. It's kind of between.
I mean, it is ridiculously fast.
Oh yeah, but it's kind of like between the FF and the LaFerrari. It's kind of an in-between one. It's not one of the ones that you're going to buy to go slam around the track every single day.
Well, I don't really know if the FF is either, though.
FF is what?
Track day toy.
Well, that's what I mean. It sits kind of between the FF and the LaFerrari. The LaFerrari is a track day toy you take out and slam around a track, but in FF, you're definitely not going to want to go.
Oh, okay, yeah, and so it sort of splits. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it kind of splits the difference.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Like I said, I think it's interesting that Ferrari took the whole track down. I think that if they are testing modifications to the car, that's exactly why it looks like a normal F12, because they're already going to attract crap tons of attention by buying out the track time. So they want to hide as much as they possibly can, because the moment you make a move like that, you have more eyes on you than ever before.
Yeah, if you show up a swirly camo one, people are going to be paying even more attention.
Right, so maybe if you sort of try and round that out a little bit.
Yeah, we all know how secretive Ferrari is, too. You ask them anything.
So, all right. Let's do more crazy fast race car things. Bentley has given us some news. Speaking of Bentley earlier, the Continental, which again I really like a lot. I think it's super cool. They have a really big go fast version of that car called the GT3-R.
Yeah, the R makes 20 horsepower. Woo!
It's the pirate model, the Continental GT3-R.
There you go. Yeah, they released it a while back, but they just released the price. And what's the base Continental GT? The GT V8S, I think it is what,
GT V8, I think it's 185, 200.
Yeah, 185, something in that range. So you figure the GT3R, of course, is going to have a nice premium on its head. It's going to be $50,000, maybe $70,000 more, somewhere in that range. $337,000 even. Only Bentley could do that because everyone else can go $336,995. No, $337,000 and 3 zeros. And what's even worse is in the U.S. we're only going to get 99 units. They can't even squeeze 100 to the States. So we're getting all 99. I'm not sure how many total are being built, but the big thing is that number, $337,000 for a Continental.
See, I really don't think it's that much money, though.
That is huge. I mean, that's coming up on double the price of the base, the base Continental GT.
Well, yeah, but so the base has just the little V8. Isn't this one built on the V12 platform or on the W12 platform?
It's the 4-liter.
Oh, okay. V8. Well, but still, it's the top of the range, and above the V8 Conti, there is a W12 Conti, and there's the Conti Sport, and there's a Conti Sport convertible. And once you start getting up there, like some of those are like 250, 260. Mm-hmm. So then the leap isn't that much. Plus, if you compare it to other cars of similar prestige and performance. So think about what Ferrari charges for the F12. Think about what Lamborghini charges for the Aventador. Mm-hmm. When suddenly you have a car that will outrun the Aventador, and it's a freaking race car with the huge wing and all that shit. Like, look at Porsche. How much is the GT3? Like $140,000?
So I think you're low on that. I think it's actually.
Anyways, the base 911 is what, $80,000. Mm-hmm. So if Porsche can do it, why can't Bentley? It's owned by the same company.
That's true, and it is an exclusive car. We all know that, and it is a freaking Bentley.
99.
Yeah,
see, I think that's how they're going to sell it at that price. To go, yes, it's expensive. There's only 99.
Yeah, and that's really how they're going to do it. The less there is, the more it gets to charge. You're going to pay what we say you're going to pay.
Right. It's just like people are like, how many 700 horsepower Challengers are they really going to sell for $60,000? And you go, there's only 1,500 of them.
Wait, hang on a second. Well, wait a second. The CEO of Dodge said that is completely not true. He said that yesterday whenever they announced it. Yeah, he said, I don't know where that rumor came from, but he was angry, too, whenever someone brought it up. He says, I don't know where that rumor came from. It's complete BS. We are not limiting this or the Challenger to any certain number. It's however many we can sell, we're going to sell.
Oh, see, I think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, so they're going to flood the market with however many people will buy.
Which means nobody's going to buy them because that incentive isn't there. When you know if you don't jump on it now, you can't have it, you're more likely to jump on it.
But 3.7 seconds to 60 in a sedan that has 700 freaking horsepower. Yeah, it can't go around a turn. But it can go damn straight and fast.
Well, yeah, but I mean, CTS-V will go around a turn.
Well,
Go around a turn real well.
yeah, but
Thanks
still.
to magnetorological shocks.
Wow, you just make that up?
No, that's their magnetic shock. Their magnetic ride control. It's magnetorological.
Wow, talk about make up your own word. It's like
Yeah,
Mercedes in a coupe.
Did you know that those are the suspension setup that Ferrari uses?
I think I've heard something about that. I don't know.
The 458 uses the same shocks almost exactly as what's on the CTS-V. They just tuned it a little differently.
That's
like,
funny.
How awesome is that? You can be like,
That's ridiculous.
You see my Cadillac? It's got Ferrari suspension. which sounds a lot better than going, you see my Ferrari? It's got Cadillac suspension.
It's like I'm trying to remember what damn car it was. This thing is an Oldsmobile, something like that. It had suspension that was designed by Lotus on the side of the car. It said suspension by Lotus. I can't remember what kind of car.
A lot of cars have had that.
It was crazy. But yes, so big, luxurious, expensive, and fast. Was it 3.6 seconds to 60 or something ridiculous like that in this 4,600 pound, I think? 4,000. Oh, I'm wrong. 4,839 pounds. Holy crap! That is a whole lot of big crap.
That's, oh my gosh.
But I mean, if you look at the interior, it's carbon fiber everywhere, green accents, a whole lot of goodness inside this thing. So you know what? It's worth $377,000.
Right. It is so much money, but I don't think it's. I mean, it is an obnoxious amount of money, but for the car you're getting, I don't think it's that obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a Bentley that handles and drives and can take on a racetrack, so you get a lot of stuff there for your money, I guess.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna finish up the show. It looks like we might actually make it pretty close to an hour this time.
I was just gonna say that. Wow, we're almost on time.
Technically, we don't have any. Oh no! What am I doing? I'm breaking things. Technically, we don't have any questions or answers, but we do have some viewers. So I'm going to give all of our viewers one quick second. If you are watching and you want to give us a question, please go ahead and send us your question now in the YouTube chat, and we'll answer that. First thing we're going to do is an own drive burn. Nobody gave us an own drive burn last week, so we're going to make one up off the top of our heads and have a good time that way. And I think we should do some of the supercars we've been talking about. We're going to do the Bentley, and we're going to do the Rolls-Royce Wraith, and we're going to throw in the... what should be our third one? Let's do a Lamborghini Aventador convertible roadster.
Oh, you suck.
Yeah, we'll do an Aventador roadster, the Conti, and the Wraith.
My burn is very easy. You know where I'm going with this one.
You're going to burn the Wraith, aren't you?
I'm going to burn the Wraith, roll it down the hill, and then piss on it when I'm done. After it's burned, I'm not going to put the fire on. I'm just going to piss on it after it's done on its ashes, you know. I hate it. I don't. It's a cool car. If I had to, if someone handed me the keys, I'd take it. But I'm not going to go buy one for any reason whatsoever. Front end's too flat. It still looks like a Rolls Royce to me. So. Well,
because it's a Rolls Royce, it has to still look like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, if you're going to try to pawn that off to me as a sporty Rolls Royce, then it needs to be sportier, at least. Don't have that big flat front end. Between the Aventador and the Continental, I will have to. They're both got to be uncomfortable to drive, but the Continental's probably less uncomfortable. But now I'm gonna have to go with owning the Aventador. You said the Aventador Roadster, right?
Yes.
Okay, I have to own that because that's just a look at me kind of car, and I'm an ego. What can I say? I'm a big ego. I like people looking at me. So I want that car, and I have to drive the Continental just one time. I want to take it on the windiest track I can find to see if I can roll it over or not. Just see how fast I can get that fat ass going.
All right. Well, because I've driven a Lamborghini at least. It was not the Aventador Roadster, but I have driven a Lamborghini Roadster twice, or well, two different ones.
Well, that's a Gallardo.
First-gen Gallardo and a second-gen Gallardo.
The Gallardo doesn't count.
560 horsepower. I mean,
the one Gallardo I drove was beating the hell and back.
Well, okay, yeah.
Duct taped on.
Yes, but that was the first-gen model. The second-gen model, which I spent more time in, 560 horsepower. I mean, it was a sweet little machine. But I already have a similar sort of experience to that. So I would burn the Aventador. I would drive the Bentley once, because holy crap, a Bentley race car on a racetrack. And you know what? I would live with a Rolls-Royce Wraith. I mean, think about it. I have a Rolls-Royce every day, so if I want to have all the comfort and luxury in the world, I have it. But it's a two-door coupe that I think looks great, and it has 620 freaking horsepower. So hell yeah, I'm just gonna stand on the go faster pedal and whoosh away at the speed of sound anytime I want to.
Yeah, but if you run into a house, you're going to destroy it.
The house?
And your insurance bill.
Oh, so Cyprian has chimed into our chat. Burn all of them but the Aventador. Sell the Lambo, buy a Cuda, and take the rest to the bank. That's not the way the game works.
Thank you, Cyprian. Thank you.
That's not the case. That's not the way the game works.
The rest of the day off.
Otherwise, it would just be like, hey, I'm going to keep the Wraith because it's the most expensive one. Sell it, buy a house, and a Golf GTI. Actually, I'd probably sell it and buy a pair of Fiesta STs, and then me and my friends could race after each other down the back roads.
Burning the Aventador just doesn't sound right to me.
You know, like I said, I've never
driven a Aventador Roadster, but I've sat in one.
Oh, see, I've not done that either.
At the one of the auto shows I was at last year? Yeah, it was late last year or early this year. I can't remember. And there are a whole pile of them there, and there was one Roadster. And I plopped my butt down in it, and that's just, it's beautiful. I mean, it looks like a spaceship. It feels comfy, but driving it may be different. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I've not driven that one. Driving the Gallardo was surprisingly comfortable and surprisingly easy and surprisingly noisy and awesome and sexy and fast and fun. So I mean, it was a good time, but I've already had that good time, and I've never been in a Rolls Royce, and I've never driven a Bentley. So I'll drive a Bentley race car once, and then I will take the fastest, most powerful production Rolls Royce ever, and that's what I'll keep. So, anyways, that is a show. Oh no! We hope everyone has had a good time. We hope everyone has enjoyed us. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for chatting. Don't forget, we need questions for questions and answers. We need own, drive, burn suggestions. Please drop those in the comments. We will be back next week. Mr. Mark will be with us again. He will be off of vacation. We'll have more cars to talk about. I have something boring to talk about. Mark has something fun to talk about. And we'll probably do a little bit more Miata stuff. So, hope everyone has a wonderful Thursday, has a super great Friday, an awesome weekend, and I guess, do you have anything else to add before we go away, Justin?
Nope, just you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
Yes.
No, I'm not, man. I'm never wrong.
Okay, you're incorrect.
I'm never incorrect.
Okay, then you're just stupid.
That hurts my feelings.
Good. Are you gonna cry?
Baby! Dude, you're so mean to me. You hurt my feelings. I said, dude, you're so mean to me. You hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings.
What the?
I don't even.
What was that?
I honestly have no idea what
I'm
that.
gonna go put some Taylor Swift on. I need to get my manhood back.
I have no idea what it is. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us. We've had a blast. Anyways, again, see you next Thursday. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Please leave us questions for next week's show. Please leave us an own drive burn suggestion for next week's show. We will see you all next Thursday. This has been the TopSpeed.com podcast. Good.